the Team Bob has given us a transmission that just doesn't quite want to come apart. So there's the ball bearing that is responsible for making it shift and stay in gear.
Hey, greetings. Welcome back to ShopTime. Patrick Tiffin here, fresh off a trip to hot Atlanta. Let me show you what we've been doing. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the White M3 and M3A1 Scout Car. It's sort of a close cousin to the half-track made by the same folks, although it was a wheeled vehicle. It was produced from 1939 to 1944, about 21,000 total. Most of them are M3A1 variants. And so, longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, Rob, reached out to me at the end of last year, I think, or maybe the beginning of this year, saying, hey, my Scout Car water pump is leaking, and I can't find anybody to rebuild it. Do you think you could help me? I got an NOS rebuild kit. So, of course, I love to do that. For all kinds of reasons. One, I enjoy the experience of learning new things, and two, love to help folks out. So I took it on. Of course, I'm now derelict and delinquent in doing it. It's July, and this thing's not been done. Now, his other one was working. It was just leaking too.
To deserve even one of the pleasures I've known.
So anyway, I grabbed the manual, TM9 1706 for rebuilding the Hercules JDX engine that also has a whole description on how to rebuild this water pump. So it's a little scary. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But we started disassembling it and trying to understand how it was put together, studying the manual a lot to make darn sure that I wasn't going to break anything, because some of this stuff's hard to replace. So regular viewers have seen me rebuild Jeep water pumps, and you've seen me rebuild Weasel water pumps, and it's just the first Scout Car water pump. But one of the common themes here, they've got lots of pressed on impellers and gears and other things, and so learning how to press things off is part of the game if you're going to learn to do this stuff. And obviously hydraulic presses make a lot of force, which is really cool, and you just have to be very careful and thoughtful about what you're pressing against to make sure that you don't end up breaking something. So in this case, the first thing to press off was the impeller, which does the magic and makes the water move around and ultimately keep everything cool. And so you can see me, I start putting pressure on it to see what's going to happen before I really start cranking it. I'm putting my hand underneath the bottom to make sure a shaft doesn't come flying out. And it moved very easily. They don't always move easily, but this one did, so that was good. One step down. So there's a lot more going on in this particular water pump than a normal Jeep or Weasel water pump. You can see the shiny part of the shaft that's kind of near my finger, and that little gear right there on the end. That's actually a distributor gear, so it just drives the distributor, and the big shiny part is on the oil side of the engine. So there is oil flowing in there to lubricate that section, and then the other side, of course, is the coolant or water section, and that has a bunch of packing material, which I'm not exactly sure what it's made of. It looks like it's cotton impregnated with some sort of grease or something, and there is a little compression type fittings, and I'll show you the whole thing in a second. You can actually replace those actual washers in there, the packing material, without removing everything. And Rob had initially suggested that that would probably be a good idea, but when I started looking at that shaft, I wanted to press the impeller off just to take a look. It didn't look like it was going to be too hard to get off. It came right off, and then it really gave me some insight. You could see, and that shaft, unfortunately, you know, if you leave these things sitting for a long time, which of course after 80 years there's always a lot of opportunity for that, then the shafts themselves can be pitted, and in this case that's the case. So with a bunch of pits in there, it's likely that this would continue to weep even after you put the new packing in there. So there's that beautiful new shaft. So now it's a question of figuring out what has to come off the old shaft and what has to go back on, and how do I get this apart. So hey, let's go back to the manual. So I'm sure when they wrote this manual back in 1942 that what they said was true. So in this case, that's the distributor drive gear, and it is held in place just by pressure, and it said you could grab it with a pair of pliers and just tap it off with a mallet. So I'm obviously using a dead blow, plastic dead blow hammer there. It's not going to damage anything, and I thought, well, if it comes off with a pair of pliers, I don't really want to booger it up. But let me try. It didn't move, but I did look inside there, and sure enough, they had given us another one. So that's helpful. So that all of a sudden now, if in the process of disassembling this thing, I somehow managed to goof up that distributor gear, I'm not in big trouble. So I read it again 2 or 3 times and then went after it. Kind of hard to believe that the manual really says grab that gear with a pair of pliers, but I read it about 10 times, and in fact they do. Now you see me going to a hammer because it's not coming off, and I don't ever like to destroy these kinds of parts, even if they seem like they're not serviceable, because at some point they may get hard enough to find that you would service it anyway. And there are ways to, for example, you could re-weld on that shaft and return it and fix it back up. So I am trying not to mess anything up. Fortunately, the shafts themselves are available. I had double checked that too to make sure that I wasn't destroying something that was completely unobtainium. And again, this level of hitting, not really going to mess up the end of the shaft. It might flare it a little bit, but you could fix that if you had to. Again, not a great idea, but this whole thing is just not easy to come off. So I'm trying to think about it. I finally said, well, let's get the oxyacetylene torch. Let's see if we can't heat the outside of this gear up and get it to slide off. It's held in place just with, it's a tolerance fit, and there's a Woodruff key, so you can't twist it. You got to just get it off. And, well, I'll show you. Did the manual really tell me to grab this thing with the pair of pliers and then just knock it off? Well, it sure did. It isn't going to work though, guys. I heated it a little bit. You know, gears are heat treated, so you don't want to heat them too hot. I am still thinking that there's a way to get this thing off, so I'm warming it up, but I'm not getting it real hot. You can see me twisting it, and I'm just trying to get it to break free and come off, but yeah, it's on there pretty good. So after a couple more attempts, I decided I was better off trying something else, let that cool down a little bit. And the other drive gear on the other side of that shaft also needs to be removed, and that one, according to the manual, is a simple press off. So I said, hey, let's do that. Let's press this gear off. That should be pretty straightforward, and then we'll get that off, and then we'll think about this other distributor drive gear and how we might get it off. So as I mentioned, hydraulic presses are capable of some pretty outstanding amounts of pressure. So I am kind of working up to it, and you're always scared when something like this actually lets go. It makes a huge pop in the first couple times. So you see me stepping up and stepping back a little bit. I don't want to be too close just in case something lets go. But yeah, I'm kind of putting the pressure on it, and you can feel how hard it is to put that press there. I've got a little hammer here. I'm just tapping, hoping that the jolt is going to get this to come free. And again, my goal at this point is to save the shaft, even though it's not really serviceable. I'm thinking, hey, I'm going to save the shaft. And again, we could TIG it up again or do something else and then recut it if we had to. And again, they are available, but you hate to be wasting things that might be hard to get. So I'm looking at this, just trying to see if it's got any movement. It does not. So I'm also a little concerned about bending the top part of the shaft. That's a pretty long shaft there, and it's maybe heated or treated and maybe not, but anyway, it's not coming off with what I would call a good amount of force. Let's put a little gooder amount of force on there and see what happens. This is an inexpensive Harbor Freight shop press, which again, very useful, and I'm happy to have it. Better shop presses have strain gauges on them so that you can get an idea of how much pressure you're putting. So you see me, I'm not hitting that hard, but I'm just tapping, trying to get it to move. Again, that's a bearing surface. So in general, I would say don't hit it. At this point, I'm starting to worry about whether or not I'm going to be able to save the shaft. And so now what I'm really doing is trying just to get off that gear. And so again, trying not to do any damage, because in the back of my mind I'm still going to save it, but it is looking increasingly difficult. Going back to heat, I have that as an option, but gears are heat treated, so I don't want to heat that too much either. But if you can kind of see now, as I put pressure on it, that thing is starting, the shaft itself is starting to move a little bit. I'm getting a little bending, and I know I can straighten that if I have to, but I mostly am just worried about getting the doggone gear off now. So what happens when you film late at night? I managed to get this thing off and press the new one on, and of course I was off cycle when it came time to push the camera, so I was turning the camera off and then on when I was walking away from it. Isn't that fantastic? So I apologize. It made a huge pop and made me jump. I was like, that's going to be some great video, but it isn't there. So anyway, and as you can see right here, I had to cut off the top of the shaft. It kept bending. It was just not enough strength in that long shaft to actually do it. If it was crucial to save it, you could have put a sleeve around it, maybe a piece of pipe or something, and it probably would have done it. But at this point, it's like, okay, look, the shafts are available. They're not crazy expensive. I hate to waste it. Now, let me see if I can get this gear off. And the reason I'm really trying to get the gear off at this point is because there's a woodruff key in there that's kind of an odd size. I don't have one. And so I need to get this thing off. So I'm trying, I'm heating the hell out of it. At this point, you know, their method of tapping it off with a mallet is clearly not working. I've heated it pretty hot and I am hitting it hard. It's not coming off. So guess what? Let's get the cutoff wheel.
So you guys can see that is the bearing surface right here. So that's not really very good. Again, I hated to cut it apart like this, but it's not great. This is also a bearing surface up here. So not ideal. This part was in pretty good shape. You see where the gear was pressed on. This thing, most of those marks are from me, but there's still some marks in there. You can see that's where it rides inside there. That's probably going to be replaced. There's also one on the other side down in here that came with the kit. I've got these nice bushings that this one would go in right there. So you got to get those out, replace those. This is the new distributor gear, and you can see there's a little place for a woodruff key in there, and I got to press it on. I just do not want to break it. Obviously I messed up the other one when we did this, so I got to get that done. The other thing worth talking about for just a second, just because it's so cool, this is how, so this side right here, this piece mounts up right here against this, right? So this is sealed in like so. This is the packing right here. And these are the little bushings. If we look right here, this is the packing for this. And it's, like I said, I don't know what it is. It's cotton. It's got some sort of oil in it or something. But you basically stack all these guys up on top and they fit inside of this right here. And you've got this little guy that's a pretty tight fit over the top of the shaft right here. So that would go in next. And then when you tighten this bushing, this right here down, this brass nut, it's actually a reverse thread. It pushes this piece down against all the packing and compresses everything together. And so that's what keeps the water from getting into this side of the water pump. And then this side, like I mentioned, this has gone into the engine side. This oil hole right here allows this to be oiled, and that right there is a bearing surface right there. And so that's all turning inside of there. This whole area has got oil. This other side, by the way, there's also, that's a grease zerk right there. So if you're running a Scout Car engine, this is a Hercules JXD engine, you want to make sure that you keep that thing nice and greased, because that's what prevents the end from getting messed up. You can see this one was not so well greased. Again, it's all kind of twisted now from all the abuse, but it needs to stay good and greased if you want everything to look good. So, and you want it to stay dry. So that's the goal. So anyway, what I'm going to do probably is cut this piece of pipe right here so I can slide it over the top and press this down. I may end up taking this thing right here and heating it with I may put this in the freezer actually, and I may heat this with probably the heat gun just to warm the whole thing up. You know, I don't know how tight of a tolerance it is, but I definitely don't want to mess that up. And Rob would be upset with me if he had to wait 6 months and then got it messed up in the process. So let's get that right. Once I get that right, it's just a question of putting the new packing in, putting some new bearings, yeah, and we'll have this baby going again.
So guys, no matter how many times you have done something, you're going to always learn if you're paying attention. Welcome to all the new subscribers too. Thanks you guys for tuning in, and thank all you guys for tuning in, and for supporting my efforts to bring this content to you. If you enjoy what you're seeing, do me a favor and spread the word. Share it with a friend and try to get them to come watch an episode, because it's the only way we're going to get more people watching. And again, I want to do a bunch more stuff. So if we can grow the channel a little bit more, I think we can add offerings and make it even better. So with that, keep those corners square. And Patrick Tipton, I will see you guys again next week.